The Square Ball Podcast.
Hello, welcome to the show. This is brought to you with Levi Solicitors. There is a 10% discount on your legal fees at levisolicitors.co.uk/the square ball. Three of us here for Propaganda Away Fan Edition. Well, home fans technically when it comes to Palace. Dan, Michael and Moscow White as well. Daniel Chapman, this is where we find out what the fans of the opposition were saying in this part of Propaganda and also what else is happening in the general world of football. In other words, let's dig up some misery about some people.
Try our best. We try our best. Palace were not. They all seemed all right, to be honest.
Had a nice day out, dancing to the drum.
Yeah.
Dressed as an eagle.
Dressed as an eagle or as an Italian hooligan. Mm-hmm. Seems to be the two options, but without any other threat. Nice bunch of lads.
They don't bring the fascism into it.
No, which is good.
Yeah.
Which I do think is good.
You're not a fascist, not a fan of it? The old fascism?
No.
Off air or on air? Because your views are obviously very different when we close the mics. Horrendous.
Well, in fair, it's not a bad country to be living in if you're a fan of it at the minute, the way things are going. But yeah, they were not thrilled with the performance, it must be said, and they were a bit concerned.
Who is this, by the way?
By the start, this is Back of the Nest.
Back of the Nest.
Even like Vicente, there was a moment where he was just keeping a ball and then he just kicked it. It was genuinely like the most pathetic effort I've seen in a very long time. Like
my man Vicente, he lagged out for a second.
and we deserve that goal that we conceded. Like they were on us. They wanted it more. They controlled the game. They didn't let us go through. And we had to wake up at some point. And he came to that free kick, which we were lucky to get that free kick. And then nice delivery and Edouard scores a goal. If we didn't get that free kick, Edouard didn't score. I think going into half time at 1-0, I don't know if we're winning that game. It was just so bad. Like, that goal just gave us a bit of life.
First 30 seconds of that, it was going so well, wasn't it?
I mean, they're talking about the keeper there at the start. And he was kind of hysterical at the start of it. There was, on the feed we were watching, there was the commentator tried to excuse him at
the
one point.
The entirely legitimate Sky Sports feed.
And went, oh, well, it was a difficult back pass. It's like, yeah, but he didn't have to just pass it wide to Jackie, which was the option he took. There were many things he could have done instead.
It was a difficult back pass. I think the one I preferred is when he just let Harrison tackle him or just walk over and take the ball off his toe, which it's funny because that shouldn't be, you say, oh, well, we can't rely on the opposition making mistakes. But Mendy's done that, and then he's done that. And then in the under-21s the other week, Stoke City's karate expert in goal just let I think it was Matteo Joseph just kind of, he'd played the ball to the right and then they were just running towards the ball together and the keeper just went, oh, you can have it if you want, actually. So it does seem to be a thing that does keep happening. And it's just a shame. It is a shame on both of those that we didn't turn them into goals. I think we weren't far off, but yeah, it needed a little bit more indecision to make them really pay for that kind of stuff.
Well, they weren't convinced anyway.
That game was tough, man, to sit and watch. Leeds rang it today, and essentially it was two moments of individual brilliance that got us the result. The fullbacks were bad. Sorry, our fullbacks were bad. Midfield, Paul Decore, man, he was getting overrun. So at one point he ended up getting himself sent off. Well, he nearly ended up getting himself sent off. So he had to sort of pull it. He had to sort of rein it in, and then we lost a lot of energy in the midfield and a lot of the tackles of aggression. Leeds came in. They were putting the little slide digs on players, little kicks on players. But at the end of the day, man, the individual brilliance wins us games. So I'm relieved we took the 3 points because I think it was essential. We couldn't have walked away with a 1-1 draw today. We had to get the 3 points. But if we're being brutally honest, man, we didn't really turn it on today, man. We weren't really dramatically convincing. It wasn't a convincing win.
Just knock that indicator off.
Indicator on there.
Yeah, if he's not turning, turn it off. Or unless he's had to pull over to the side of the road.
But listen to them.
Are we sure it wasn't four ways?
They're just like us, aren't they?
Or is four ways?
It was great. It was great that they won, they were saying, but it wasn't convincing. They're not really happy. They kind of got away with it a little bit. Nobody's happy in this division, are they? Apart from, if you're a Man City fan and you're watching the Harlem Globetrotters every week, fine. Everyone else is miserable. You
did watch the first half of that game, and it was hard not to conclude that it was a big Conor Gallagher-shaped hole in it because in the opening stages we were just overrunning them, and Decore could have gone off, and then it would have left them with no central midfielders essentially. I don't really know where Elise was playing, but it didn't seem to work for him in the first half. He was just completely out of it, as was Eze. So yeah,
but they moved them and it worked, and I don't like that.
Then they put Ayew into midfield, didn't they? Which is weird because he's not a midfielder.
Basically because they couldn't get through our press with their defenders trying to pass short. They put players further back who were good at passing, and that helped them get forward by chipping over the top and keeping the ball. So instead of trying to go forward all the time, their defenders were kind of stepping off us and passing backwards, and then they would give the ball to one of their good players like Eze or I would drop deep, and then they get possession. So, I mean, the thing that I'd sort of is a draw would probably have been fine. When you look at the statistics through it all, they did 11 crosses, we did 9. Blah, blah, where are we? What am I looking at? Throw-ins, 29-32.
That's the stats I always look at.
They had 5 shots on target. We had 4. They made 3 saves. We made 3 saves. They had 13 shots overall. We had 10. Game of 2 halves and all that. We did a good first half. They did a better second half.
Jumpers for goalposts as well.
But they weren't. What's it? And then expected goals is what I guess sums all this up. It was 0.9 versus 0.9. So a 1-1 draw is what that game should have been. And so that's Liam Cooper's fault exclusively.
Right. Well, praise for a different defender, though.
I will say, watching the game, Christensen did a job on him today. That Leeds player who came from it played really well. And I did notice that Vieira spoke to him being Zaha, and Zaha got more into the game.
So they spotted it. Our star boy, our new Danish star boy.
Yep.
He was good. We did barely talked about him, did we, in the Leeds fans? But
there is nothing good.
He gets hero nominations, is what I will say, for when we get to.
He's already been picked as man of the match, as we found out in the first half of propaganda.
To heroes and villains, but yeah, he was just much better. I don't know why exactly.
Maybe he just had something more to focus on. Well, didn't Marsh say that for Denmark he'd kept Mbappe quiet? So maybe it's just a question of, I mean, you know, you're not allowed to take any of these things into consideration, but moved house, new country, new Premier League, new level, different training, different food, all the kind of stuff that kind of shakes up your world across a summer. And then there's only been 8 league games to try and settle down and get used to what's going on. And we dragged him to Australia for the, 3 weeks of pre-season. So
play on a mud patch.
Yeah, exactly. So it's all, I mean, maybe there's a question about whether we should have gone there for pre-season and whether that helped get everything ready.
USA.
And we went there without Wonder Boy Marriage as well. So there's kind of preparation coming into all this.
You're fantasising about them being dressed as like Batman and Robin, aren't you? Jesse and
I
Marriage.
wasn't, but now you've mentioned it.
Good. I'm glad I've planted that image in your head.
But so maybe,
and I'm talking about the 60s version, by the way.
Of the only version. Maybe Rasmus, though, just needs a bit of time. And same with Sinistera, Aronson, Adams. There's 5, on most days, there's 5 new outfield players out there who are all new to the division, as well as, they're all new to the country as well, aren't they? So there's a lot going on. And
do you know what I did like? I liked it when he did go full Pontus, because parallels were drawn between him and Pontus, weren't they, when he signed? And we've yet to see it. But when he did that brilliant block and then celebrated it like he just scored a match-winning goal.
Do you think that's what inspired Liam Cooper to go diving at Eze? Oh, that looked really cool. I think I'll do that now.
I think they like him for that. I'll try it.
Liam Cooper didn't celebrate us, did he?
Well, he had nothing to celebrate.
I think he punched the ground, didn't he?
It would have been the right thing. If Eze had shot first time, we'd have been praising him for that. But, oh, wow, he's, him and Christensen pulling off those incredible body on the line, last ditch match saving tackles. And equally, if was it Ayew that Christensen blocked? I can't remember who had the shot, but if they dropped a shoulder and gone round him, he would have looked stupid. So it's kind of
hard to defend, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a really hard job again.
and we want you to be perfect.
Well, exactly. And that's the thing with Cooper, has had a lot of criticism after this game, but other than the 2 things that gave away goals that lost the match, I don't know if he was really terrible, was he? He was fine for most of it.
The thing is, the free kick he gives away, we do have the option to just defend that free kick well.
Yeah.
I don't know who was at fault for whose man it was.
It was between, I think Koch was in front of him and Christensen behind, and he went in between the 2. So Christensen, fucking rubbish.
Useless. Bloody useless.
But it's good if he can get some momentum and put some more good performances in. That's only to the good, isn't it? And it's good that he got noticed. And Zaha is not an easy player to play against, because even if he's not beating you for skills, he's beating you for being a little whinging bastard. And he managed to, and that stayed with the fact that he didn't give Zaha a tremendous amount to whinge about was also quite clever. So there
was no room to whinge, was there?
No, he still managed.
There was a whinge-free space.
I noticed you seemed really to be playing a lot narrower in the second half.
Zaha.
No, Christensen. He was always.
Was it not that Zaha just started standing off him and going right out to the touchline?
Yeah, I suppose it's just the way we set up, isn't it? That's maybe where he always stands.
It was noticeable from the second minute of the second half. Palace played a big diagonal out, and suddenly it was the first time Zaha was running at Christensen from distance, as Wolves winger was on the opening day. I think that had been the change there that gave Christensen more to deal with. And he did well against him. He had more work to do in the second half. But yeah, Zaha was dropping off to take more of a run at him, whereas don't know what was up with him in the first half, but Christensen had him under his thumb.
Let's have some Yankee love then from back of the nest.
Leeds are on a poor run, but Leeds were a decent side. They are. Aronson, by the way, I'm going to shout him out. Aronson, a very good player, and Tyler
as well.
And Tyler,
both those American players.
What? Are we giving love? What?
Problem. It's going to be a problem.
We're giving love to the soccer boys.
Say what now?
Yeah, I lost the track of the middle of that.
There are Americans on the podcast, basically, who I think have previously been...
Were they just being American there?
I think they've... I guess so. I think they've previously tried to talk up the American players, and then they were like, yeah, fucking hell, good, aren't they?
It felt like there was some virtual chest bumping going on there and all that kind of jazz.
I think they were pleased to see their boys acknowledged.
To take the form of failing to beat Crystal Palace into that World Cup.
Right, let's move on to Tristan 03. Haven't seen the first two Tristans. Are they any good?
I'm not sure.
But we're on
this Tristan seems like a nice lad.
Does remind me of Jaws. Have you seen Jaws 3? That was on the telly late last night. It's when there was a fad for 3D movies. Back in the day, this one's got Dennis Quaid in it, and there's loads of supposedly scary shark footage of a shark lunging out your telly.
Did you watch it in 3D?
I did. Well, it looked like, I think it was 2D.
Oh yeah,
Me and my telly in the room, but it was very much a 3D room.
Okay, good.
So to Tristan then.
I did look up the plot of Ghost Shark, relevant to our earlier correspondent. That sounds like a movie, not a good one, according to the reviews, but. It is a man after a great white shark eats the potential catch of a sport fisherman. The man and his daughter violently retaliate by sadistically torturing and killing the shark. The shark's corpse then sinks to the bottom of an underwater cave and is subsequently resurrected as a ghost shark due to the cave's mysterious paranormal properties.
The title.
And it is now hungry for revenge.
On Paul Tierney.
Well, yeah, I mean, it has a new spectral form that allows it to just emerge out of even the smallest amount of water. So it emerges from a swimming pool, a bathtub, a bucket, a metal pipe, and even a drinking cup, killing many people in unexpected locations. So
that sounds a bit implausible.
Even that glass of Ribena that you've got there, a ghost shark could emerge from it at any moment and just kill us all.
I mean, that would possibly bring better entertainment than we had for the last hour of the Leeds game at the weekend.
I thought you were talking about this podcast.
I was going to say there may be some people who want to see that happen. I don't know. What a hell of a way to go out, though. Let's go to Tristan 03 then. Have we got some background on Tristan?
He's just a lad who goes to football with his dad.
Has he ever fought a shark?
He's not mentioned it.
Eagles versus Sharks. Nobody has a shark in the Premier League, do they? There's got to be one in MLS.
There would have been one of those kind of really B-list or movies of
Philadelphia Union, isn't there? We're back to
walking snakes.
Walking snake. Of course, snakes aren't sharks, are they? They're different animals.
Different animals, completely different. Yeah.
I was going to say there was that phase in the wake of Sharknado, of loads of like B movies, wasn't there? Of sharks and eagles and all that sort of stuff.
Is the Sheffield Sharks still a thing? Were they a basketball team?
But it sounds like hockey to me.
Ice hockey.
Steelers, Sharks.
We'll Google it. Well, let's listen to Tristan and his dad then anyway at half time.
We're never going to get to Tristan.
We'll have a Google of it.
Very poor from us. We had about a 5-10 minute spell. Apart from that, it's been pretty sort of even towards the end of the second half. Leeds were by far the better team in the first 20 minutes, but simply not good enough.
Absolute rubbish. I mean, Leeds just come at us, and we couldn't pass. We weren't running. There was no passion. There was no fight. There was nothing. We were 1-0 down, and I thought Leeds should have been 2-3-0 up, and we were absolutely awful. We've had one chance the whole half, and that was the goal, and that's it. How we won in at 1-1, I don't know.
From taking your chances, Tristan, and your dad. That's how.
What we're hearing there, and it kind of hurts to hear it, is that we had Palace weren't in good form coming into this, and that's why we should have just beaten them. It would have made life a lot easier.
I think I've mainly enjoyed listening to the Palace fans because they're a bit miserable. And I feel like it's comforting to me.
But you could look at that league table and pick any team out of that bottom half and go say, I bet they're not having a nice time. It's like, I wonder at what point Forest flip over into hating the Premier League. So this a couple of times, like to people this season already. The point at which you realise it's just a doomed adventure.
Well, they're on the verge of sacking their good sporting director, aren't they? Because they've got about 6 of them
already.
Yeah. Well, is
this a different one to the one that's just come in?
There's one of them who was there last season who helped them get up is suing the club for not increasing his wages, and so there was going to be him and like anybody who liked him were all about to be sacked. But then it sounds like the Athletic got in touch and were like, "Oh, we're doing a story about this," and then suddenly he got a new contract.
Right.
And it seems like similar stuff with Steve Cooper, where it's like, this guy's got to go, and I was like, "Oh, you're gonna?" But they're very. The owner's son is running the club to a great extent via Twitter. Like he's really taking that, and that's why he
Adam Forshaw.
He broke the Lingard signing. He announced it before the club did, having his photo taken.
Right. Yeah.
The whole club. I know, the excitement of the Premier League and the excitement of all the players, but it does sound like it's waiting to go quite badly and hilariously wrong. So there's one reason why we're not going to get relegated.
Yeah, I mean, I've said before the other week, I am already contemplating who we could maybe pick up in their relegation fire sale.
Lingard?
No.
He's only on a 1-year deal anyway, isn't he?
He'll waltz back off to Instagram, won't he? He's on loan from Instagram at the minute.
I mean, they've got about 7 left-backs, so there's an opportunity for us. That's why we couldn't sign it, because it all went there.
Well, that Renan Lodi, hopefully he's come in. He's had a taste of the Premier League. He goes, I like it here, but I want to play for somebody better than these chumps. Let's go to Leeds.
Morgan Gibbs-White, we quite fancied him. Lewis O'Brien, obviously, the great lost midfielder who would change all our fortunes. What's Nico Williams?
Is he a left back?
Right back? Maybe. Does he play on the right?
Yeah.
They got Toffolo off of Huddersfield, didn't they? Serge Aurier, Willie Bowley.
No need for all of them.
No, too many players.
Yeah.
Let's hear from Tristan at full time.
It's Sheffield Sharks, by the way. They are the basketball team.
Basketball.
Now the B. Braun Sheffield Sharks.
Okay.
There's no Sharks in Sheffield. Stupid name from.
No.
Not like the Rhinos in Leeds.
It's the Sheffield Steelers we're thinking of, isn't it?
Have you fully explored the River Don to its maximum extent? You don't know. You don't know. You're making these wild statements. Nothing to back them up.
Let's hear from Tristan at full time then.
Well, overall, it wasn't a great performance. The first 20 minutes, we should have been 3-0 down. We could have been 3-0 down. We were really poor. The tension was rising. The wheels were about to come off. Then 15 minutes, we responded. Got that equaliser. Loved the header from Edouard and that. I haven't really seen the highlights, by the way, so it's just from what I've seen within the stands and that of the game. And then second half started slow, grew into the game a bit, and the Eze winner. What more can you ask for? Do you know what I mean?
It'd be nice if we did one. That's what I'd ask for.
That wheels were about to come off bit. It's annoying, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They're not confident. 2-0 would have probably finished them off. Although, mind you, I think we said that the Southampton game, didn't we?
I suppose this is where you start smacking Marsh again, because after 15 minutes of sort of Palace getting back into it, but with them not scoring, because it took them a long time to actually get that winning goal. Was it the 80th minute? Only about 10 minutes left when they finally scored.
Towards the end.
So there was plenty of time to put them back in the box if we'd just done some tactical stuff that I can't think of. I think if they'd done that, then we would have been fine.
Do you know it was Maric's fault, that?
Well, and I suppose, you've got to...
Stupid idiot with his lack of life experience.
Well, I was kind of thinking that, like putting him up against Patrick Vieira, and Vieira has got the advantage of experience, but... There must have been something we could have something we could have done to put Palace back in their unconfident, we're rubbish mode that they started the game in. I mean, you saw the way they were pinging the ball at the goalkeeper and the way the goalkeeper was giving the ball to Jackie Harrison and the way that they couldn't get through our press. But then there's, I know we're just banging on about Leeds again, but I suppose that's why we're here. Fitness. Why aren't we... Because who was it? One of... Crystal Palace's loser players said this after the game, where he was like, they, where are they?
Run around a lot of while.
I've got it right in front of me. So it's, I say right in front of me.
Good audio, this.
Moderately. Well, you'll edit it.
I won't. Leicester City versus Palace this weekend, by the way. So imagine if they draw that or lose that, they're going to be miserable again, aren't they?
I mean, they didn't sound happy after this one, did they, anyway? So... I don't think it matters who said it, Moscow. Just make up a Chris. It was Dougie Freeman said it.
It might have been.
It was Jeff Thomas, wasn't it?
It was Patrick Vieira, in fact. So he's the prime candidate for saying these things. Obviously, Leeds dropped a little bit physically, and that allowed us to play more directly. And it's funny, why did we drop physically in the second half? We're supposed to be fit. We're supposed to be strong. We're supposed to be, 100 minutes of all action in there. Dropping physically and not pressing, because that was one of the things in the second half, is that we weren't winning any high turnovers. And once we stopped doing that, there's not a lot else to rely on. So what's going on with us not being fit to the end of a game?
Have you ever experienced tiredness, Moscow?
Yeah, but they shouldn't be tired.
Okay.
Why are they tired?
It's because Jesse's taking him out for pizzas rather than making him do.
They do get a lot of day off. I
extra
suppose we have had a month off, I suppose. But,
so train harder, burn these players out. Now let's move on. I've had enough of Palace. We've talked enough about them. It was a shit day in the end, so let's forget it. Let's pretend that first 25 minutes is all that happened. Everything's fine.
Okay.
All right. Let's go on to the wider world of propaganda. And who else has been saying shit?
Well, a bit of podcast competition for us coming soon. Don't know if you've seen this, Moscow?
Have you heard about this?
No.
So there are other podcasts in the market you can...
Yeah, well, since Jake Humphrey invented them, there's loads of them now.
The whole thing snowballed, has it?
But this is another one coming soon. Yeah, a familiar voice to you, Moscow.
I mean, I've done quite a few podcasts, David, since I've retired. But when I've started talking to you, I thought, we ought to do this more often, really, because there's so many things weekly. Things change weekly. And,
Absolutely.
If 2 million people want to see me keeping the ball up, I can do a lot more. I can give them a lot more, There's a lot more to come from this.
There's a lot more we can cram into half an hour's worth of chat, isn't there? I mean, and I think you've, as ever, being the boss, I think you've masterminded that. I think a podcast sounds like a good idea. I mean, the other thing that you need for a podcast, of course, is a good title. Is there any titles that jump to mind for you?
What people have said when I've gone past them is, you've got to die for 3 points. so I think we better, if we were doing it, I think we better call it that, don't you?
That, to me, sums everything up with regards to what we've spoken about, what your career was about as a player and a manager, and just how much you cared about it. Neil, that for me is a deal. Die for 3 points, done and dusted. Let's get cracking. What do you think?
I think it'd be a good idea, Dave. Yeah, I've enjoyed doing it, and I'm sure people will enjoy listening. And it's another one that retirement, I can enjoy it.
The Dave there, is that David Prutton?
It was David Prutton,
former Leeds legend.
Oh, Dave!
Why is he mixing himself up with this?
I know it sounded. I didn't realise it was him. I was listening to that. I was thinking, who is this? Arse kisser,
Infernal Dave. Yeah.
Well, just kissing. Neil, what a clever man you are.
Did you find it particularly demoralising when he burst into laughter there? Because it's like, it didn't warrant that sort of level of.
Yes, somebody's.
That's what I normally do when you're making jokes in here, Mike.
I wish somebody would just employ him again, give him a job, because since he has.
That's Neil Warnock, by the way, for anybody who doesn't know.
Since he has retired and sort of been made self-aware. And now he's just going around just doing his catchphrases. Is he like Skynet in the Terminator movies? Is this the end of humanity now when Warnock becomes self-aware? Well, I'm sure. I mean, it used to be that he thought Twitter was just a place where people upset his daughter by photoshopping pornography onto screens that he was looking at Thorpe Arch, and it was like, oh, she had to go to school, and they were making right fun of her, and so that was his kind of thing. Like, Twitter is terrible, and football fans on it are all, they're all, if that's what you're doing for fun, you need to take a look at yourselves, which maybe I was one. But now he's kind of come back around. It's like, oh no, they love me on there. Oh, they think I'm great on there. Oh, 2 million people watching me just kicking a football in here. Well, if that's what they want. And they want me to do you've got to die for 3 points. And it's like, he didn't.
I bet he spells podcast as 2 words.
He didn't say that as a joke when he was telling Sheffield United players that in the dressing room. But now he's coming back with his whole career. He's like, oh, you've been laughing at me all. Oh, I didn't realise you thought I was funny.
I'm glad you've done that chuckly voice, Moscow, because there's a bit of Warnock from last week on Talk Sport that I've put in now, which is him talking about picking Danny Butterfield up front for Palace because Sharon, that's his wife.
I know where you've got that from.
Had a dream. But his chuckling style on this is tremendous.
I signed quite a few players on what Sharon said. I don't really.
Really?
Of course I did. You know what women are like. You get that intuition, don't you? When I've had them in my house or what have you, and talking to them, and they've left, and she said, "Don't quite fancy that one," you know. And
really?
Oh yeah, that's why I've been successful.
So little do these players know, Neil. They thought they were being interviewed by you, but it was actually your wife.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, Danny Butterfield. I have got an inkling. We weren't very good at that time up front, and I had seen him in these games, and he was a decent finisher, and we were struggling injury-wise, but you know, it was just a matter of putting him. I think Darren said it was an hat trick in about 12, 13 minutes.
Oh God, it's excruciating, isn't it?
Nobody needs to know any of that stuff as well.
People indulging him.
We had to score for a few. We'd had a game at Rotherham. It was 2-0 down at half time. They had to bring him on.
I liked the bit when he said, because I misinterpreted what he said at first, but he said, "You know what women are like with their intuition." He said, "It's like when I've had them in the house." As if, I mean, like, when I've let, but he meant his players, not
right. Yeah.
For Sharon.
Just as a bunch of women in the house
to look at, but it's like when I've had women in the house, which I do.
You know what women are like
with their intuition.
Yeah. Oh dear.
There you go.
Neil Warnock, former Leeds United manager. There we go. That was a happy time, wasn't it? I mean, if we think we're miserable now, being in this bloody god-awful Premier League malarkey, that was fucking horrible.
Well, I went searching for some misery amongst Liverpool fans.
Yeah.
But they're in a strangely protective phase because they're kind of acknowledging what Klopp has done.
Yeah.
They were frustrated about certain things, but it's not turned into full sort of scum.
There's no rebellion yet.
It's not like it's scum where they've been unhappy for years and they all want to have a player thrown out of the club just to make a point and stuff.
It's so juvenile, but I like the idea of all other football fans being unhappy.
Yeah.
But Liverpool right in that bracket.
But I have, for doing propaganda, I've got a little bookmarks list of things I've used in the past. I went into my Liverpool folder, opened it up, came across LFC Sonny, if you remember him. He was the Liverpool Addiction, I think was the name of his channel. But well,
in this clip, he actually explains what he said back when you first discovered him, wasn't it? Around the Strauch, Harvey Elliott thing.
Yeah. So have a listen to him talking about this. He's basically done a comeback video. He's not doing anything for about a year, and he's come back to explain why he's not done anything, what he's going to be doing in the future.
I'm glad he's done that.
Yeah. So here's him talking about what he was initially made famous for.
Then the most famous clip was the Leeds incident. It was on Instagram. Where it got where it kind of mainly blew off, because 60,000 likes on Instagram is unreal. Like that's unreal. I don't know how it got 60k likes because it went on a really big page. And that Leeds United clip of me, what was I saying? I think I said it was a Strout. It was the Patrick Strout tackle on Harvey Elliott. I was like, it should be illegal, and I compared it to a baby getting drop kicked in Asda. I think I said that. That was outrageous, but it was in the moment. And looking back at it now, do I regret saying it? No. I've lost nothing from saying that. Like, no Leeds United fan has injured, touched me, or said said plenty, but done nothing. So I don't actually care.
Don't care. No consequences to saying any old shit on the internet.
This is sort of a programme, and I know after I was stumbling around trying to find out what Patrick Vieira said, this will sound hypocritical, but he could have looked up what he said before starting that. If he's going to do a big piece on his channel about what he said previously and why things have changed, look it up.
I mean, when it comes to doing research, Moscow, I do feel a little bit, throwing stones in glass houses.
I know, and I said that.
No, you
preface it, but when he's just got, I think the whole reason I went to jail was because what was it? What was it now? I think I robbed a bank, maybe or was it assault? I can't quite remember. You look it up.
You'll hear from Sonny over the next clips, and there's some of him in Propaganda Extra as well, because it's a half-hour stream of this.
How does he?
It's some of the most remarkable viewing I've ever had. But he does also say he's doing a live stream because he can't be bothered editing the video. It's one of the reasons he's done this.
Dear God, that fills me with dread.
So this is the next clip. So he's sort of acknowledging what he did in the past.
Yeah,
even if he can't remember what it was.
He doesn't regret it, but maybe he's learned from it.
It's almost like a self-counselling session, this, isn't it?
And if you did enjoy it, please,
don't forget to like and subscribe.
I don't really know how
guys.
you would enjoy it. I thought I was a complete prick, like how I used to be. But don't get me wrong, my opinions haven't changed. But the way I came out and said my opinions, of course, the great thing was I said it with chest. But it was a bit, I came across it in a bit of a cringy way, and I will happily admit that I came across in a very cringy way. Like, if I was watching myself, if I went back, and I have done this, if I went back and I watched my videos and streams that I made I don't know, like back in September or October, whenever it was, I just look at it and I just sit there and I go, shut the fuck up. Honestly, I would just tell myself to shut the fuck up because it annoys me so much how I came across in all those videos. And I'm not saying that I didn't mean to come across that way. That's the annoying thing. I meant to come across that way, but that's really bugged me.
What is he trying to say? Because I haven't changed. I'm still a prick.
He came across as a prick, and he meant to come across as a prick, and he is still kind of like that. And they were his opinions.
But he's saying it differently now. So, but is he saying he's just been a bit more snidey now? Is that what the...
I don't... I concluded through this that he's basically one of the worst human beings
you've ever come across.
It made me fear for I started off looking for a bit of fun, and I ended up kind of fearing for a whole generation of young people, thinking, is this what people are like now?
Yeah, I'm looking through his Twitter. He mentions a few old things. One, he says, this was the peak. He's retweeted a video of himself talking to Terry Flewers, and he says, this was the peak. I was wrong on the day, but almost everything I said came back right. And then his other bit of sort of self-reassessment is got a photo of him just with, and he's referring to his haircut. He says, I used to walk around with that on my head. I got bad friends, man. So that, I don't know if that's as far as the self-reflection has gone. If this is the things, like, I'm really sorry that I had that haircut for all that time.
It's almost like you've woken up with the beer fear, isn't it? This one, like where you've gone, oh God, what did I say last night? What did I do?
Well, anyway, he's maybe acknowledged that things weren't perfect in the past, but he's back now. So presumably he's coming back with some fresh perspective.
Well, it already sounds like he's learned, he's evolved,
some new ideas. But this is the kind of stuff he's doing now.
In terms of what I'm going to be doing now, because I do want to get back into YouTube. I have been seeing loads of shit. I'm sure you all know Andrew Tate now. Andrew Tate has inspired me to kind of get in on the internet again, because there's a lot of money in the internet. And I'm not saying that I'd always do this for money, but I'm not even going to sit in and say that I wouldn't, because money's money, innit? And I want to make money. I think that's self-explanatory. If I sit and say I do this for money, I don't think anyone would hate me for it. As long as I'm not being a to people for money. But then again, I would be a people for money. So it is a bit hypocritical. But still, look, I think the way the future's going, a lot of it is going to be online.
Jesus Christ.
The way the future's going, I think, he's onto something there.
Andrew Tate,
he's spotted the trend early there.
Andrew Tate, by the way, is basically a dreadful twat, isn't he?
Yes.
Is it the really misogynistic stuff that he got?
Yeah, he sort of said when a woman marries her husband, she becomes his property and stuff like that. And weird internet people like Sonny like it because he puts a front of being. He's
got a Bugatti, hasn't he?
I was going to say I was really completely unaware of this man until you mentioned him a couple of months ago, Moscow, and I made the mistake of looking him up, and I just thought,
there's
for fuck's sake,
there's nothing good there. I think it's worth pointing out as well that in the midst of all this, Sonny with his kind of his State of the Nation address, that's half an hour. Is that one, and then all the things he's talking about that he did in the past, and none of his videos have ever had more than 500 views at any point. The one he's talking about, the Leeds Liverpool one, is the best, the most viewed, and just about broke 500. So it's important to stress as he looks back and reevaluates everything that he's been doing, and whether nobody cares.
Yeah, but he's going to do more successful stuff now because he's been inspired, and
for money.
He just wants to do some stuff that makes money.
Yeah. So misogyny? I mean, it does make money.
Well, tune into Propaganda Extra and you'll hear some more of his ideas.
Are we trying to make money off of the potential promise that there might be some misogyny to listen to?
This is
never the way I thought we'd be selling our subscriptions. I've got to be
there's so much to listen to. He's an absolute... I think there's potential that he's a character and he's not real because he's such a complete dickhead. It's hard to quite... But if he manages to fit so much into half an hour, it's exquisite. If
somebody is being a character on YouTube and nobody's watching them, though, do they make a sound? do they make a Bugatti's worth of cash? Because money's money. Money is money.
He's rebranded now, though, hasn't he?
Yes, he's now
for his new controversial internet persona. Just thinking, basically, being a dreadful twat and holding shit opinions in exchange for money is what that Chelsea simpleton Rory does, isn't it? That's basically what he does. Yeah. You said there's a clip been doing the rounds loads this last couple of weeks where he's talking down Haaland, and you think, you don't believe what you're saying. You're just being the jester.
Well, Sonny is probably the the poster boy for the failure of that, because he's right that clip of him going mad about Strauch went viral, but it made absolutely no impact to anybody watching anything that he's ever done before or since.
Yeah.
So there's but I mean, it will have helped Twitter's share price for a while, so it probably meant Elon Musk has to pay a bit more to buy that.
I bet he loves Elon Musk.
Only result. Well, money's money.
Entrepreneur, isn't it?
Money's money.
He's rebranded though, hasn't he?
Yes, so Sonny FFS is what he now goes as.
Which, for anybody who doesn't know internet slang, FFS is for flip's sake.
That's the one,
isn't it?
That's the one.
So that speaks to his new controversial persona, anyway.
Yeah, he's going to hold some. He's going to hold some
right out there opinions,
some real hot takes.
Which brings us on to.
Well, also while searching YouTube, I do this now and then.
Can we just have Steve Nicol?
Do you want some Ken Bates?
Oh,
to finish on?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, from misogyny to racist. Can we leave that in?
I think he said some questionable stuff about.
He certainly employed a racist.
Yeah,
that is proven.
He said some very controversial things about the Chinese Olympic team.
He did try to subjugate a Caribbean island as well. So, there are things. See him in court.
I mean, is he?
And he also took his Oldham team to Rhodesia as well, didn't he?
Yeah,
which was under sanctions
for being a racist, an illegal racist state.
So yes. So in your opinion, Moscow, not the opinion of this show, but yours, Daniel Chapman.
I feel bad now. We're probably tarring these people, these good people with a new business venture with that brush, and they don't deserve it.
I was going to say we've kind of completely undermined the point of this clip. Here it is.
Whether you're a beginner, a collector, or all-out rocker, Ken Bates Guitar Bazaar has something new waiting for you. Located in the Chisholm Mall, right next to Coach's Corner, Ken Bates Guitar Bazaar is the coolest thing to hit Duncan since Wild Willie himself. From new and used instruments, amps and accessories to private lessons and even a recording studio, the Guitar Bazaar has you covered. So come by, spend time at Ken Bates Guitar Bazaar, 2126 North Highway 81 in Duncan. Oh, tell them the Willie sent you.
I really like that advert.
Yeah.
Who's Willie?
It was Wild Willie, wasn't it?
Wild Willie.
Was that Wild Willie, not Ken Bates?
Yeah.
Maybe it is.
I mean, there's an oxymoron if you heard one.
I was going to say it sounds very different from Ken Bates as I remember him, but maybe he's had to get Wild Willie to front it.
And what's good is that they're definitely not racist. Well, as far as we know, they're not racist.
Seem like a great bunch of guitar playing lads. How much better the Bates era would have been if it had been fronted by Wild Willie. Imagine Tom Kerwin on Yorkshire radio going, "Well, Mr. Chairman, another defeat at the weekend. How do you think?" Well,
in a 1/3 full Ellen Road,
and they could have played his babbling, pause-ridden answers over a bed of guitar music.
Yeah.
I can't believe Simon Grayson wants to sign more defenders. I backed that guy to the hill. That would have been great.
Would it though?
Down, bow, bow, bow.
I enjoyed it anyway.
Get Darren O'Day out the team, Simon.
Well, there you go. That's propaganda wrapped up then for.
I don't really know what's happening anymore.
I've just realised that next week it's Arsenal, and that's a behemoth, isn't it?
Yeah, but look at it this way: we beat Chelsea. If we can beat Arsenal. Going from how excited and happy they've been up to now, we could be the ones to flip them right back to Mikel Arteta being a war criminal.
That is true. That
was their opinion.
Again, those were their views.
Yes,
as we're expecting. Because, and we'll probably, he lost a game, therefore he was a war criminal. Then he won a game, therefore he was a god amongst men. That's the Arsenal world. So it just needs us to injure Gabriel Jesus and win 2-0. And that would be the...
Right, over to Propaganda Extra then, where we'll bring you some up. Sonny, FFS, I cannot wait, Mike.
We are going to do some Leeds United stuff as well, aren't we? We're not just doing this fucking Liverpool no-mark that absolutely nobody cares about and has never had a bigger audience than he's about to.
We're going to do some talky bits as well. What's the question over on there we're going to discuss?
I'm going to be talking about pessimisms towards Marsh and also labelling some of our good players as Championship League One versions of
Oh, okay. Right. We'll speak to you over on Propaganda Extra then, that one for members. In the meantime, back with a weekly show as well. That's coming later in the week. Phil Hayes show on Friday. And we spin round to another weekend of action. Hot Premier League action. Looking forward to it.
Very much so.
Very much so. We'll see you in a bit.
The Square Ball Podcast.